Hey everybody, Rachel here with Givebutter. Thanks for joining for another success story from the Givebutter community. Today we are featuring a well project. They have raised over $7,000 for their fundraiser for a community in Uganda to help over 1,200 people to get the clean, safe water they need and deserve. I have Josh here with me. He's going to share why he turned to Givebutter, as well as tips, tricks, and lessons learned all the way to support the Bululu community. Josh, thank you so much for joining and for sharing your success with Butter Fam today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so excited to dive in. To start, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and what this project is all about?
Okay, my name is Josh Chalmers. I'm the CEO of Earth 2, the number 2, and for me, CEO stands for Cheerfully Eager Overachiever. I don't love a formal title, and that was given to me by my goddaughter years ago, so I have to treasure it and keep it. But Earth 2 has a mission statement, which is change the world before bedtime. And everything we do, whether it's for-profit or nonprofit, is all about benefiting a nonprofit organization. And I fell in love years ago with Call to Care Uganda, an organization out of Madison, Connecticut that drills wells. And I just started doing initiatives, different kinds of fundraisers where I could see that great change the world before bedtime literal impact. And we started by doing events that were 2.5-hour cocktail parties and dinners. And then for the first time, we tried this new way to raise money through Givebutter, and it was such a hit, so fast. And we're already wiring the money to Uganda on Wednesday, and they're going to start drilling shortly thereafter. So the
Amazing.
process of it started on December 19th, and it's already about to happen, which is
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah, that's amazing. So, for those that maybe aren't as familiar with this cause, can you tell us a little bit more about why clean water? Like, why does that matter to you? Why is that an initiative that you're wanting to see that change happen before bedtime?
Well, part of it was motivated by I have a lot of young people in my life, and I was starting to get pretty crazy about them not understanding what a gift it is to have hot and cold, safe, clean running water. And that just kind of sparked me to think about whether we could make some of this very quick impact by doing these kinds of initiatives where it was a change the world before bedtime. So by the time you got home from a party, we were already texting you and saying, clean water is going to this village and you're changing lives in perpetuity. So for me, the water piece of it was that it's not just about the water. What I learned from Call to Care Uganda and other organizations is that when you bring clean, safe water to a village, to a population, it changes the young people's ability to go to and attend school. It
Mhm.
changes the ability to do merchant and market trips so that you could sell wares. It changes the health and hygiene of the whole community. It lessens the risk of death, and the trickle down in terms of developing and empowering that community is absolutely impactful. So it's happy, clean water flowing, but it's also a change of just lifestyle and potential for
Yeah,
everybody as well. So
it changes everything.
everything, yeah.
So, going back to what you mentioned about doing something different for this fundraiser with Givebutter, what made you turn to Givebutter to pull off this successful fundraiser?
Well, I happen to volunteer for an organization um, called Project 351, who has used Givebutter. That's an organization that does this amazing work. This amazing work with young people to teach them all about service and leadership skills. And they used Givebutter, and I was so happy to donate on the platform that I'd started doing some research, and it was so clear and clear cut that it actually is the thing that made me want to do this new clean water project. So if you had not appeared, I'm not sure that Obur Village and the Bululu Secondary School would actually have water today. So, so it was pretty much because you gave me the tool to make it happen in a different way that I just jumped on it.
That's amazing. So you were inspired by being a donor yourself
Yeah,
on the
exactly. Yeah.
yeah, amazing. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. so people can see your beautiful campaign here. I just want to point out a few things that stood out to me, and then I'd love to hear what stood out to you.
Sure.
So, um, Change the World Before Bedtime, obviously, that caught my attention.
Mhm.
The video was so touching and authentic. And the story, particularly what I thought was so clever about your story piece, was this: let's turn this into this. Are you kidding? That's so effective. I love
Thank
that. And anyone can do that in their own way. So I just thought that was gold. And then the last thing that really stood out to me on your fundraiser was, Josh, how much you are using the new live supporter feed upgrades. You were commenting, you were loving things, you were reacting to people, you were celebrating all along the way. And it was so fun to see that back and forth interaction
Oh,
in real time. So,
that's
what
great.
stands out to you?
You know what? I first of all, thank you so much for saying those things, because it was an enjoyable experience to do that kind of interacting, and so easy to not just press thank you or love or like, but to also be able to say something special. And a lot of these people, obviously, who do we reach out to when we're raising money for causes? You know, it starts with family and friends, right? And then it trickles down to people who you don't know. But it was such a pleasure to just feel like we were all part of this community of givers, you know, one big, happy, generous giving group. And so I appreciate so much that you made that possible as a tool here. Um, and then I also, on the other pieces, first of all, to have the ability to put in a video. This video was made for us in order to do this. So they sent this and took it. And not just have still pictures was great. I think that a lot of people responded when I post this on social media, that that video was what got them going right to the link and paying. So thank you for that. That was great. And also, I'm an English lit major, and every chance I get to use that degree to write in a happy way and in a way that maybe inspires people, that's just, it was a pleasure to be able to tell a story. Um, so that was fantastic. And these are really real, true pictures of just disheartening, you know, tragic situations about this dirty water, which is not just risking their lives, but it's just not, it's changing the community when you bring them the clean water that comes next. So
Absolutely. And I love that you use the word joy because that really stood out to me. I could tell that you were enjoying yourself, and so were all of your supporters. They were having fun too. And I see that on the live supporter feed. You had lots of comments and emojis and all that fun stuff. So I love that your supporters were loving that experience too.
no,
Uh,
that's
so I'm wondering if you have any tips, tricks, or lessons learned after your first Give Butter campaign.
well, I will tell you, first tip is, and it's also a shout out to Rachel, who was a project associate intern who joined the fund, which not only kind of widens your circle, right? So in terms of who's asking for money, but also gives you a whole new kind of energy and perspective. And I should also add, I'm way older than Rachel. So any time I needed to learn about how to embed a video, thank goodness for Rachel, for so many reasons. So it was great. She really navigated the site beautifully. Um, and I also feel like your voice in it constantly, which was one of the reasons why I was commenting, um, is something that it encourages people to borrow your passion for your organization or for your cause. And if you just set it up and disappear, I think it's a message to people that you're not, you know, feet on the ground making it happen. And that's part of the, as you said, joy about this, is that you're all in it together.
Mhm. I love that so much. So I'm curious, what do you think is the future of fundraising for your next well? Like, do you see yourself using Givebutter again to do this, or maybe as a hybrid with other events that you might do in the future? What do you think is next?
Sure. So I actually do a lot of fundraising, and some of the things are bigger, some are smaller. I do it on behalf of other organizations on whose boards I sit and whose committees I sit. And There are many groups from New York up to Boston, really, where my focus is, that I know will be able to use the platform. I will do another clean water one in a heartbeat. After that event, after the run of this campaign, I was still getting, when I posted messages, sending people to the link to see that we got 100% plus a little more, I got 12, 15 messages back saying, shoot, I missed this. Where can I give? And I decided, why don't I use those people as the first donors for the next one? Rather than have them give, we had hit our goal. So we were going to have clean water. So why not just do another one? And so we'll have 12 to 15 first donors right out of the gate.
Brilliant.
And really, you made it so easy. I think that's especially in a chaotic world, we need to have the tools for this kind of giving back to be easy. And I think an important thing to me too was that I was able to tell the story without making myself the hero of the story. Like, it was really important to me that this was about Obur Village. It was about all of the generous donors, and it was not about me celebrating myself as a look at what I did. So you gave us all the tools to say this is about a community of givers, and that was really exactly what I needed.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear that because that is so important to Givebutter, that we're providing a tool that rallies community support because it is so much more powerful to give together than to give alone or to give just to an individual. So I love hearing that. Just to close here, I'm wondering if you have one piece of advice for other Givebutter fundraisers, what would be your piece of advice to them?
Just one. I would say don't do it alone. It was really nice to feel like I had a team member in it, not only because that it extended, our reach into our networks, but also it just sets that tone for community right away. And then I knew some of the people that were coming because of Rachel. Rachel knew some of the ones coming because of me, and it was just like this aggregation of donors beyond our family and friends. And so I do feel like, and it's more fun, really, like to not be sitting at the computer by myself, to know that we're growing this circle of generous people together. So yeah, I think don't do it alone. If you can have some help, build it that way. So
Yes, great piece of advice. Josh, thank you so much for using Givebutter and for sharing your success story with us today.
you're so welcome. Thank you for the tool to make it happen. You'll be hearing from me again.
Okay, looking forward to it. And to everybody else who's following along, thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Givebutter's YouTube channel. And we will see you next week for the next success story. Goodbye, everybody.